For this meditation, I'm going to read a little excerpt from the last chapter of my book, Pushing North. I will now share an experience that I've shared with no one. This event expanded my understanding of my place in the universe more than anything I've encountered in my 50 years of life. And it happened at a simple stop to refill my water. I made it to a shelter that was just off trail, and it had a stream running nearby. I set my backpack down inside the shelter, grabbed my 2 water containers, and sat down next to this wonderful stream. There was plenty of water flowing, but there wasn't a spot where I could dip my bottles underneath an overhang to fill them directly. No problem. That's why we bring a little scoop with us, just for these occasions. As I started scooping water and transferring it into one of my bottles, my curiosity was running wild in my mind. As I watched the water enter the scoop and then into the larger bottle, I began contemplating how the water wasn't resisting my efforts to remove some of its form from the creek. I was amazed at how it could take the nude shape of the different containers I was placing it in. It simply molded itself to the scoop and to the bottles in perfect fashion, and then integrated seamlessly with the existing water in the bottle as I poured it in. No anxiety, no stress, no friction. Just formless and malleable. I had scooped water from a stream dozens of times during my hike. But this time, I could finally see the lesson hidden inside. Be like water. But the universe wasn't done with me yet. My mind kept searching for something else. There was an even bigger question looming, but I couldn't make it bubble to the surface. I sat there for a few minutes in a state of curiosity, playing gently in the water. And then it hit like a bolt of lightning. I dipped more water into my scoop, held it up to eye level, and stared at it. The question circulating in my head was, what is happening to the molecules, atoms, bacteria, and all the other millions of organisms that are now contained inside my scoop? The answer was obvious, but wouldn't have entered my consciousness had I not asked the question. The water, meaning all those parts combining to create the water, was adapting, morphing, and growing to meet the demands of the new environment. At that moment, it became analogous to the journey I was experiencing on my thru-hike. I was that scoop of water in an unfamiliar environment, having to learn to adapt, morph, and grow to meet the demands of the trail. It was so obvious, yet it hadn't hit me as hard as it did in this moment. But the true lesson still hadn't hit yet. As I sat there for 10 minutes, staring at the water in the scoop and contemplating what was happening inside, another jolt of curiosity hit me. What happens when I pour the water back into the stream? How would this scoop of water, with its components that have morphed for the last few minutes to meet the demand of the new environment, interact with a larger body of water as I poured it back in? The fact is, the water in the scoop was now different from the rest of the water in the stream. It has a new consciousness that none of the other organisms in the stream are familiar with. One tiny scoop of water that went on a grand journey into my scoop for 10 minutes re-entered the stream at a higher level of consciousness. It had been forced to adapt, to grow, to become more aware of the fact that it was a separate entity for a moment in time, then blended back into the whole. At a smaller level, this is exactly what was happening to me on my long-distance hike. I left the world in which everything was familiar, comfortable, and easy, and entered an unfamiliar environment where I had to adapt quickly, learn to survive, and keep finding novel ways to move forward. Inside this metaphorical scoop, we all become something different. Our consciousness elevates. We transform into something that the outside world doesn't recognize easily. On an existential level, the scoop metaphor is simply pointing to our meaning and purpose for the 70 plus years we get to spend on this planet. We are now inside the scoop, learning, growing, adapting, advancing, and moving forward. And once it's our turn to be poured back into the stream of the universe, we take with us a higher level of consciousness. We increase the intelligence of the universe by living the life it has blessed us with. This is the value of every living creature. Each life force allows the universe to bear witness to itself, to learn, to adapt, to grow, and to keep taking the next step forward. I had that experience almost 8 years ago now. But the lesson revisits me every single day. When I'm feeling chaotic, when I want to retreat to safety and comfort, I simply remember that my part in this grand scheme of life is to keep pushing forward and to quit falling back on safety and comfort. So as this meditation closes, take a look at your life. Try to sort out where you've become too comfortable and too safe. And make a vow to start pushing yourself outside of these false boundaries. And just know, I'll be right here beside you on my own journey. And I'll see you back here again real soon.